Welcome back, everybody, to Let's Chat. And today we're talking with the lovely Laureen Nowlan-Card. And Laureen is going to be answering one of the questions that our viewer has sent in. And the question is, how long does a restraining order last? And does it need to be renewed? And if so, do you have to go to the court again to get it done? So, Laureen, welcome to the show. It has been an honor to have you here and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you.
Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Laureen. Laureen is the Crown Prosecutor with the BC Ministry of the Attorney General and has been practicing criminal law since 1997. She obtained her law degree from Dalhousie University in Nova Scotia after earning a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and Political Science at Decatur University. Over her 23 years of prosecuting criminal matters, Laureen has worked with thousands of victims of crime, including all forms of abuse. She's been trained and highly experienced in trauma-informed practice. 6 years ago, Laureen expanded her career to include life coaching for women in the areas of women empowerment and public speaking. Laureen is the founder of Women Thriving After Trauma, an online community of resources. And she lives in BC, in Victoria, BC, with her husband of 27 years and her 2 children. So welcome, Laureen.
Yay, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I want to go back before we answer the question. You are the founder of Women Thriving After Trauma, an online community of resources. How can somebody get a hold of Women Thriving After Trauma? Where do they go?
Right, yeah, thanks for asking. So Women Thriving After Trauma is a membership group, and in order to get in touch with that, we have a Facebook group. It's called Women Thriving After Trauma. It's on Facebook. You can also reach out to me, and we probably will have my link somewhere, but I can be emailed at either through my website or through my email address, which we'll provide, I think. But Women Thriving After Trauma is a specific group for women who would like support and resources on a month-to-month basis for their lives and how they're dealing with their trauma in their life.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever have an opportunity and you can post your link in the comments for those. And if you want it to keep it more private, then we can have them contact you. But yeah, thank you for that.
No, you're welcome.
We all need that little bit of help.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So our question again today is, how long does a restraining order last, and does it need to be renewed? And if so, do you have to go back to the court to get that done?
Right. Okay. So first of all, there are a couple different types of restraining orders. So I think that probably our viewer is asking about restraining orders through the criminal courts, perhaps, and that usually lasts a year. So a restraining order under Section 810 of the Criminal Code has a maximum of a year, and it has to be renewed. And yes, you would have to go through the courts to get that. So that's one type.
Okay.
The other type is a civil restraining order, which usually comes up in like family cases, say,
Oh, I think we lost you there.
Condition as part of a family order. Oh, sorry, did I cut out?
Yeah, but it's okay. Continue on.
So you can get a condition not to contact me, not to come near me, not to go to my house or my kid's school, that kind of thing, as part of a family court order. And those wouldn't have the same limit on them. They wouldn't be limited in time. They would usually continue on, and they wouldn't have an end date until that order was changed. So that would last as long as the order was in effect. If there was a change made to the order and it was deleted, then you would have to go back and get it again. So those are the two main types. Sometimes there are no contact conditions as part of a probation order or a conditional sentence coming out of the criminal courts. And those no contact, stay away from me type of orders would remain in effect as long as the probation order is in effect. So if there's a 2-year probation order, that condition would remain in
Okay.
effect for the length of the probation. But just to circle back, I think that our viewers probably talking about like a peace bond / restraining order out of the criminal court to keep somebody that you're fearful of away from you. Those usually last 1 year. They usually require you go back to the court through the police services to get that again.
Okay. So if they broke the restraining order, so I'll go back to, I had a restraining order on my ex-husband because, I mean, he was threatening all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so we managed to get a restraining order. I managed to get a restraining order, and he could not phone me or contact me. But what he did is he would mail me stuff. Even though he didn't have my address, he would send it on the Greyhound bus with my name and my phone number, and the Greyhound bus would call me, and then I'd open up this package thinking it was from my parents or my daughters or something, and all of this stuff would be in there. And that's how he kind of got around the restraining order. Now, I think that I could have gone to the police or somebody and said, like, he's still contacting me, but he really wasn't. So what could I have done with that?
So you're right. You could have gone to the police. And I would encourage, if you were talking to me now in that scenario, I would have said, Brenda, you should tell the police, because he is contacting you. He's going about it in a sneaky way. And at the very least, it's information that the police can have if something, what if he mails you something, that's a bomb or something, right? Like, so the police would at least have that information, be able to look out for you, but also they might be able to talk to the Crown prosecutor or help make an application to court so that that restraining order could include shall not mail me, shall not send me emails, shall not send me mail. So it can be extended to be more protective for you.
Yeah, I think we as and I hate the word victim, but I have to use it in this one. I think as victims of having a restraining order, and you are married to this person, and they are going about it in a sneaky way, you're almost afraid to rock the boat more, and to contact the police because, okay, they can get thrown in jail and they can do all of this sort of stuff. And it's almost, for me, it was like I didn't want to make any more waves, So I think I elected not to go to the police because I thought, okay, if he's thrown in jail, then he's not going to have a job, and then he's going to have this, and we start making up excuses. And I think a lot of people fall victim to that. And realistically, it's a sociopath who is using other means to get what they want from you. And I fell into the trap where I should have actually phoned the police and had his carcass thrown in jail.
I was going to say, so what do you feel about how do you feel about that now, Brenda?
I would have phoned the police and had his carcass thrown in jail. But anyway, but I can understand why people don't do it, or they get in that trap because you have kids and it's their father, and you just kind of get into this state where you really don't know what to do. Getting the restraining order was to save your life, but now they're going about all of these other ways, and it is very damaging.
Absolutely. And I think hindsight and your wisdom is really important. So what would you have done differently?
I would have definitely, knowing what I know now, of the whole situation, I would have phoned and I would have done something about it, not only to protect myself, but to also protect him. Because, you think, well, how are you protecting them? But knowing what I know now and the outcome, I think it would have jolted him, slapped him upside the head, done something to wake him up to say, hey, what I'm doing is fundamentally wrong, and give my head a shake and say, okay, step back from this. I think I would have done him a better service by doing that than not doing anything.
Well, there you go. That's wisdom. And I think that, I hear this a lot. I see it a lot from people who don't want to rock the boat, don't want to make it worse. And I think what I want to say is that you can't really make it worse by telling the police what's happening. That person is already crossing your boundaries. They're already trying to find a way around a criminal court order.
Yeah.
This person has no respect for that boundary. So you have to respect the boundary yourself and show that you're willing to stand up for yourself. And it, in most cases, doesn't make anything worse, because these people, they're pushing and they're going to keep pushing. And when you try to stand up for yourself, you're actually showing that you're not going to put up with it. So I know that everybody has to make their own decisions and assess their own risk. So I'm not saying this point blank. I'm not giving it as a generalization. Everybody has to decide for themselves. But the police are there to help you. They really are. And they do take this information really seriously, and they'll try to make you more safe if there's some way that they can. And at the very least, when you go to, I've seen people go to the police and say, look, this guy is mailing me, and I don't want to make a formal complaint, but I want you to know, and I'd like you to put this information in the file. Yeah. And if he does it again, I'm going to come back and tell you again, so that there's this communication that they're aware of what's happening for you.
Yeah. The police can only help you so much as you help yourself.
They can't help you if you don't tell them.
No. And that was a lesson that I think I learned very well is, if you don't communicate with them to help, let them help you, then their hands are tied. And then I just have to look at myself and say, if I'd have done it differently, then things may have turned out way different than what they did.
Wow. Hindsight's a very powerful tool. And, I appreciate that you're thinking of how it would have turned out for him differently, but like at those moments when you're assessing your own risk, I really encourage people to think of yourself, like just think of what's best for you. Yeah. How do you want to handle this for yourself? And, maybe you've got kids. What would you tell them to do for themselves if they were grown women facing the same problem, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of the problem is we don't think of ourselves first. I wasn't thinking of myself first at that time. I was thinking of, okay, well, he's going to end up in jail if I tell the police, and then, everybody else. But I never thought of myself first. And I think that is part of the problem with when we are in domestic violence situations, that we are thinking about everybody else, our estranged spouse for whatever reason they're doing, our children, we're thinking about our parents, we're thinking, we need to stop and we need to think about, how do I keep myself safe?
Yeah, absolutely. And just, I have a lot of compassion, and I encourage you to have self-compassion because you're going through a really hard time. Stress can make it really hard to think straight. And, these things don't come out of the blue. Usually we've been, our abuser has trained us to put up with shit. And, and so our mindset is not the same as it would be if we felt completely empowered, right? So that's where we're at, and we're doing the best we can. But just know that that's why there are other people out there who can help you. That's why the police are there. That's why victim services is around. A friend, somebody that you can bounce this off of. And more often than not, they're going to give you the advice to talk to the police about it. So, yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Well, this has been a great conversation, my dear, and very enlightening in lots of ways. And I'm hoping that our conversation is helping somebody else out there realize that if they are dealing with somebody who has a restraining order and is breaking it, however sneakily that they're doing it, that realistically you're not doing them any favors and you're not doing yourself any favors. So contact the police and say, this is what's going on, and help keep yourself safe. So again, thank you very much, Laureen. And if anybody has any questions, please put them in the comments below, and we will answer your questions in future segments. We may have to do some research, as Laureen had stated, but we will get all your questions answered. And note that this is for general knowledge only. This is not to replace any of the counseling that you're taking or any legal services, any of that sort of stuff. It's just so that you know, common knowledge helps. And if I'd have known some of these questions that we were asking the answers to, I could have made different choices again, and like this one today. So again, thank you very much, Laureen, for having me, and I look forward to our next conversations.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.